Trails District membership chair. I've been doing this for about 8 or 9 years now. And I kind of ask and see who we have out here. So if you're with a pack, just raise your hand. This is awesome. Very good. I know we have a couple people that aren't in packs, that's great. I know we're going to cover a lot of material today, and some of it may be very new for you guys, some of it may be old information. I'm absolutely certain there'll be a lot of questions. If you have a question that is specific to your pack, if you would hold on to that until the end, just jot it down, hold on to it. We will answer every question. If you have a question that's general for everybody, there'll be places along the presentation where we'll stop and take questions at that time, and definitely feel free to ask those. Jennifer, Abby, and I will stick around after this presentation as long as it takes to get all your questions answered. But if we can, kind of contain those questions about unit-specific topics to the very end, that would be great. So, I have another question for you guys. Everybody here is with a pack, or most of us are with a pack. How many of you have been working with your pack for 3 years or more? This is awesome. How about 5 years or more? Yeah, 7 years, 10 years. We have some people that have been around for a while. That's great. How many of you guys, this is the first time, first year? Yeah, great. So those of you that this is your first go around, did you look around and see who've been doing this for a while? Because I can tell you one of the greatest things about our organization is everybody's happy to share ideas with you. If you have a question, if you're not sure about something, hey, have you tried this? One of my favorite things to ask is, what's the most successful thing you've done with your pack? What activity do they like a lot? Take a few minutes at the end today and talk to those people and just get to know them, find out what they're doing that's really exciting with their pack. Why would we recreate the wheel when it's already created, right? Copy and paste, okay? So, we'll get started. This is, here's not working. Or it's because Jennifer's standing in front. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. All right. All right, I'll set me back to the table. Okay. So, we have made some changes this year. We have gone from the single night sign-up, which we've done the last couple of years, to 3 nights of sign-up. We've divided that, those 3 nights, we've divided the units into those 3 nights. So on August 22nd, if your pack is in Newburgh or on the east side of Evansville, that's when your sign-up night is. And if you are the rest of Vanderburgh County, then August 29th is your sign-up night. And if you are in Posey County or Illinois, September 5th is your sign-up night. We came in, there was a handout, looks like this. This lists each night and exactly which pack is on that night. So much like in the past, this is your assigned sign-up night. I know everybody always asks, well, how do I have it on that night? Okay, you're having an event that night. We're telling you today you're having an event that night. It is acceptable. If you have something else, I've heard people talk about, we have a back-to-school picnic, and we always put a table at that, and we sign kids up at that event. Fine, that's great. If you have another event that you typically sign scouts up at, you support that. That's awesome. Understand that our efforts are going to support the night that you're assigned. Make sense? Great benefit to this is, instead of having scout talks 2 weeks ahead of time, and then you have a recruitment night 2 weeks later, and the kids have forgotten about it, they're not excited about it anymore, we plan to have scout talks the same week as your sign-up day. That's why we kind of portion them off in sections geographically, so it's easy for me to go to 3 Newburgh schools in one day. There's 2 or 3 of us that are doing it. It's possible for us to catch all those schools that week, Monday through Thursday, instead of 2 weeks ahead of time. The other piece of this is, it's going to give us the opportunity to support your event. And by that I mean, Jennifer may come in and help you out that night. so do you need somebody to stand at the door and greet people? It might be me, it might be Abby, it might be Jennifer, it might be somebody from our district committee. It just gives us that opportunity to be a little more hands-on and supporting you that evening. We've had some units that really, packs that really could have used an extra set of hands, and we don't have them to give out when we do it on one night. But by splitting it up, we have those extra sets of hands to distribute to everybody in our district. The other great thing is you get to choose your location and your time. So where the last couple of years we have said, sign up night is at your school. Go to your school to sign up between 6:30 and 7:30. Didn't matter what your school was, you had to go to your school, families had to go to your school to sign up. Now you have the opportunity to pick. So for some packs, that's not important. It's 369 at Castle Elementary in Newburgh. They're going to Castle Elementary, that's their school, that's where they go sign up, doesn't matter. But for instance, Jennifer's pack, 383, they recruit out of Hebron, they recruit out of Case. Well, in the past, we've had to have people at both of those schools because we told them to go to your school and sign up. Now we have the opportunity to say, here's our Senate night, here's where you're going to go sign up. So everybody from Hebron might go to Hebron school to sign up, but you might also go to a park close by. We're pulling out of two schools. We're coming out of two schools. So maybe we go to a park or a fire station or a Kiwanis club that's sort of in between the two. It's not as much of a big deal in Evansville where the schools are pretty close. Think about some of our more rural areas where one school's on one side of town, the other school's on the other side of town. Maybe we meet at the park in the middle. Maybe that's where we have our sign-up time. You can also kind of pick and choose your time. Now understand if you're at a school, the time probably really has to be 6:30 to 7:30 because Y care runs till 7 o'clock. After school care runs till, 6 o'clock. So you can't get into school till 6 o'clock. Not really going to be able to do anything until about 6:30, right? So keep that in mind as we're looking at selecting locations and times. And it is really important that as soon as possible, you select your location. We need that information today if possible. Most of you got an email earlier this week that said, hey, start looking at those locations. There's some reasons why we're going to get into that. We need that sign-up location. We need that event location. Hopefully today. Hopefully you came prepared with that today. If not, as soon as you can get that to us. The other great benefit this year is we're going to do some custom marketing pieces. So instead of the flyers are all the same and it just says sign up at your school on this date, right? That's what they all said the last couple of years. This year our flyers are going to be specific to your pack. So it'll have your contact information, your email address, your pack number on it. It'll be specific to your pack. That also lets you say, here's who I want people to contact for information about our sign-up value, right? So you can pick that, you can choose who that is. So these are really great benefits for you and for us, for the whole district and our whole council, by splitting this up into 3 nights. So everybody found on their sheet, I just want to make sure everybody found on their sheet what night their sign-up night is, yes? Everybody found that? Everybody had a cup of coffee and a donut and they're on sugar high and they've got a little caffeine so they're awake? Or no? Nobody's sleeping? Good. We talked about the location. You can't pick your location. I will tell you that a school is the best location for your sign-up night. I think there was a flyer out there that talked about why. That school is a great place. It's a place that parents know. And they're talking to new parents. So they're familiar with the school, they've been to the school, it's a great location for it. If not at a school, if you need to have it someplace else for whatever reason, the school's in use that night, we know that could happen. A park or a community location would be best. A park, a fire station, a police station, Kiwanis club, something along that line. A lot of parks have a shelter where you can get up underneath the shelter, that would be awesome. If you can't have it there, you must have it at a church, and some packs do meet at a church, so that's okay. That's our least favorite place. There's a lot of reasons why. It's not awful, it's not the worst thing you can do, but it would be better to have it at a school or community location. change is our national marketing plan. And that's big. It is probably the most interesting thing I'm going to talk about today. How many of you guys were around the last time we were part of a national marketing campaign? Probably 8, 9, 10 years ago. Not many. We saw huge growth that year. Really big growth. Lots of new members that year. So we are excited, and I hope you'll be excited too. Our national campaign will have a Google national search component, where if somebody goes onto Google and searches for kids' activities, family fun, or scout related, they're going to get a link to a page that says, hey, what about Cub Scouting? You can check out Cub Scouting, right? Have you guys searched, everybody searched Google? I'm kind of getting blank stares here. Have you guys searched Google? So you know what I'm talking about? We're talking about Google search, yeah? Okay. I need another cup of coffee. Yeah, okay. So that's a great component. The other thing that we're going to see is social media ads. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, all those social media. We are tapping into social media, our national organization is, and they're going to put some ads on social media. They'll be pushed out to a certain demographic, and so you should start seeing those. But the most exciting piece, and what was exciting for me, was geofencing. Does anybody here know what geofencing is? And this is interactive, so somebody tell me. What's geofencing? Can you explain it?
I think if you, not 100% sure, I believe if you go to search for something, it's confined around your area that anybody looking for something would be directed towards that area.
Pretty close, actually. You got the fence part. That's awesome. And you're right on the money. So
thank you for participating. You get another coupon.
That's right. Woohoo! So the best way I can explain geofencing is I went to, for instance, I went to the wine down in Newburgh on a Tuesday night with some friends of mine for work. We went in there and we had a glass of wine and we talked about work and how great it was, and then we went home. And when I went home, I had an event on Facebook that said, hey, there's live music at the wine down on Friday night. Very cool. Because I went into the wine down where they had fenced their business, and they had an event coming up in a few days that, because I went in to that area, I was automatically assumed to be interested in it. I got a notice on Facebook that said, hey, there's an event coming up. That is the very essence of geofencing. You guys been into a store before, came home and there was an ad on Facebook? Kohl's is notorious for it. Hey, there's a sale coming up. Anybody done that? Yeah, that's geofencing. Okay? So, I must not be pointing it.
I do have one question.
Oh, go.
So that geofencing, is that occurring with the school? So parents are going to schools, are they getting a note? Like if our event is at the school?
We're going to get into that.
Oh, all right.
It's not. I'm not punching it right or something. Okay. So geofencing, well, we're waiting on technology. Geofencing, exactly right. It is going to partly be around your schools are going to be one of the geofence areas.
Yeah, you had that thing pop up.
You had that pop up,
on the
you
screen.
need that click the ones. Oh,
Okay.
that's what it's not. Thanks.
Technology.
There you go. Don't you want to just
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Geofencing is based, our geofencing is going to be based around an event on Facebook. So our national organization is going to create an event for each of your sign-up nights. So your sign-up night is going to have an event, your sign-up night is going to have an event, your sign-up night, every PAC sign-up night is going to have an event created. Our national organization is going to create that for us, which is awesome. And they will target an audience. So they're going to say, everyone, male and female, ages 33 to 49, is our target audience. So what happens? Well, they've set up that event, they fence the event, they create a perimeter, a mile or 2 miles, depending on where you are, around your event site, what you were talking about, they've created that perimeter. Anybody, any male or female, ages 33 to 49, that goes into that area gets that event on their Facebook page. Yes? Kind of understand? Get it? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So, lots of things about this. It uses your phone's location. If your phone's location's not on, you know, if I drive through it and my phone's location's not on, I'm not going to get an event notice. Make sense? So if you're looking for it, if you drive through your school's zone and you go, man, I'm right in the parking lot and I didn't get an event notice, check your phone location. It probably isn't on. So that's one piece. They can fence multiple locations, but we have to have a location. We have to have an address. You can't just say the I Camp Scout Center. That would be awesome, right? Everybody knows where the Scout Center is. We're all here. We know where it is. But geofencing doesn't know where that is. Crazy, right? So we have to say the I Camp Scout Center at 3501 East Lloyd Expressway, Evansville, Indiana, 47715. That's that information that we have to have. You have to have that whole physical address. So if you're having your event at a school, at Hebron Elementary, you can't just say, I'm having my event at Hebron Elementary in Evansville, Indiana, and assume everyone knows where it is, because probably everybody does, that you're going to be marketing to. However, because we're geofencing it, we need that physical address. So you're going to have to Google search it, right? And find out what that physical address is for your school. And we're going to ask for that information when we start looking at forms. Geofencing will start 14 days prior to your event. So our first event is August 22nd. That means that our geofencing for those sign-up nights will start on. Very good, thank you. Now, you're going to understand why I'm standing here going, come on, we got to get a location, we got to get a location, I need these forms filled out today, and the 8th is coming up. It doesn't seem like it's that far away, but there's a process. So the process goes like this. You fill out your form, and you give it to Jennifer, Abby, or I, and we go into a spreadsheet, and we enter that data in, and we double check it, because we want to make sure it's correct, right? Then we send that document up to our national organization. Somebody there has to create that event and create the geofence. That's out of our control. We don't have any control over that. Don't know how long it's going to take. It has to come back to us, and we're going to send that URL. They're going to create a URL for the event. We're going to send that URL back to you. It doesn't matter whether you do anything with it or not. It does, but you can do something with it or not. I'm going to tell you what you need to do with it. That event is going to go live 14 days prior. And the geofence is going to go live 14 days prior, right? If we want these available on August 8th, we need to get busy filling out the forms so that Jennifer and Abby have time to input the data so that we can send it up to home office or national organization office so that they can do their part and they can get it sent back to us. Yes? Nobody's sleeping yet? Okay. There is a cost for this. Our national organization is taking care of that. It's not coming out of our pocket. And again, that's the big support that we're getting from them is a lot of that labor and work to create those events and create the URLs and pay for it. There is a cost per day for that. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I know we're kind of looking into that to maybe create this in future years, but for right now, there's no cost to us. So the benefit to this is pretty obvious. You're getting a lot of people that you wouldn't normally reach. Just a second. We have schools that won't allow us to put flyers out. We have schools that won't let us go in and talk to their kids. It may not be your school, but there are schools in our district that don't allow that anymore. So this is one more way of reaching them. I also want to just stress that this is a tool, but it's one tool. We're going to talk about several others. It's one tool in our toolbox this year. It's an awesome tool in our toolbox, but it's one tool in our toolbox. It's not going to replace flyers. It's not going to replace going to open houses. It's not going to replace some of the other things that we normally do, but it'll supplement them, and that's what we want to do. Okay. There's lots of hands going up. So You had a question?
Well, I was just gonna tell you, I use the geofencing for my salon, and it actually, you can pick if you wanna spend $5 a day, $10 a day, and then let you pick how many people you're gonna target in your area, and break it down to who's in the household. Anything you put on Facebook,
Yes.
if your information, it can be broken down into it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a great tool for you,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I expect to see a lot of return on this. I really do. Okay, you had a question?
Why was it 33 to 49?
You know, when you fill out an application for your child the first time, you put your date of birth in there. I don't know if everybody realizes that, but you do put your date of birth in there. So NASA's done a lot of research, and they've said the majority of people signing up their kids for Scouts are in that age group. How many of you guys are in that age group? See, when you look around, most of us are. I'm not, but I'm proud of that. But for the most part, parents of children in that age group, age 7 to 11, or 6 to 11 now, because we have lines, are in that age group of 33 to 49. So that's why they select.
That's also why we want to make sure you're sharing that URL and stuff.
Hang on. I'm getting to that. What did you say?
We have 2 schools.
Yes. So when you have two
Small's a farm. Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, and that's a good question. So when you have 2 schools, we're going to geofence both of those schools. And when we fill out the form, and we're going to look at that in just a minute, we're going to talk about here's how you indicate I have 2 schools and I need to geofence both of those. Okay? What else? Who else had a question? Yes, sir.
Well, it's like our recruitment's on the 22nd, and then that following Saturday, we usually do a back-to-school picnic.
Okay.
It's in at a park that's going to be like in the middle of a larger subdivision.
Yes?
Could we specify 2 locations?
Yes,
Okay.
you absolutely can. We're going to talk about that just like, because we're going to go through how to fill out the form. So you absolutely can geofence more than one location. Absolutely, we can do that. And I will explain to you how to do that. We have to have a physical address. If it's a park, we just have to have their address. If it's a second school, we just have to have that address. Okay? Anything else, Jennifer, I forgot?
I did want to stress that if you are going to turn in your form, please make sure you confirm your location. Once we get the data into the spreadsheet, it is challenging for us to go back and get the national office and change it. So please don't turn, we want you to turn your form in as soon as possible, but make sure that the location where you're planning to do your assignment visit is confirmed with that location.
So if you're having it at a school, for example, make sure that you personally have actually called the school and said, are we on your calendar? I know that Jennifer and Abby have made contacts with the schools, and I think they've shared a lot of this information, but you need to make sure the form is filled out, if there's a form that needs to be filled out, if there's something that, whoever it is that you talk to, the principal or the secretary, whoever it is, that they are aware that you're having an event there. And we need to make sure we're getting on that pretty quick. Kevin?
Let me give you just, I'm Kevin Ager, I'm council commissioner. I want to give you just a little bit of backstory on how this geofencing came about. Wendy Shaw, who's the national membership chair, was here for Ideal Year of Scouting. Shortly thereafter, myself, your council president Ted Stronsky, and John Harding were all at the national meeting out in Denver. And along with us was also Brian Williams, who sits on our board, on the Buffalo Trace Council board. And Brian is the volunteer who's tagged with Wendy on a national campaign for membership. So, as we found out, there might have been some councils that were supposed to get this opportunity but weren't really stepping up. So we took the opportunity to leverage that, and between Brian talking to Wendy and the rest of us talking to Wendy, we kind of got this solidified out in Denver at the end of May. And it represents approximately $8,000 in marketing dollars to the council. So if you see Brian Williams, if you see Ted, you see John, tell them thank you, because the only way this could have happened otherwise was you as a PAC would have been having to throw money into it to make it happen. So it's a great thing. We need a win on membership. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you, Kevin. That is awesome. It's good to put a dollar amount to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. It really is. Okay. So who Who here has a Facebook page? I have a Facebook page. How many of you guys have a PAC Facebook page? Great. Very, very good. Here's what we know. We know that 74% of all females are on Facebook. And I was kind of surprised, 62% of all males. You know, that seems high to me only because I know that sometimes women are on there and your husband just sort of uses your page too, right? Or the man's on there and the wife uses the page too. I mean, that happens all the time. So these are pretty good numbers. If you think about that, we're targeting that men and women, age 33 to 49. Most of them are on Facebook. A lot of them are on Facebook. This is great. Here's what else we know. Geofenced units. We talked about the national organization has done this with some other councils. And in other councils, they had some units that participated and some didn't. The ones that did showed a 7.43% increase over the previous year. That's a pretty good increase. Does anybody have a guess? And I will take guesses at this point. What the non-fenced units, what happened to them? Decrease. How much? Anybody have a thought, a guess? I'll take guesses.
10%.
9.12. I don't know names, I'm sorry. Oh, you're in the green shirt. He's working hard over here. Yeah, almost 10%. That's a 17% difference. The ones that did and the ones that didn't. And that's just had a geofenced event. That's it. So it's pretty exciting. We have a lot to look forward to. I think it's really going to bump up our numbers this year, just based on that alone. And we're going to get into in a few minutes how we're really going to harvest the power of geofencing and Facebook. But you guys talked about who has a PAC Facebook page. Anybody want to share where they are getting contact for their Facebook page from?
People sharing it.
People sharing. Where do you get contact that you put on your Facebook page?
People,
Like right.
you sharing something with the.
And then you copy it. Okay. Who else? Anybody else?
I mean, whenever we do like a pack event, go somewhere, we'll post that and upload pictures from it, and then people will share it out, and it spreads around from there.
Yes. That's awesome. Anybody else? Okay. How about scouting.org? Anybody been there? Seen the brand marketing page? They have assets that you can use, pictures, stock photos, all kinds of good stuff like that, videos that you can use on your Facebook and Instagram pages. There used to be, and I think we're going to have them again, some of that information on our council website. Does everybody here follow the council Facebook page? Yes? Yeah? So if we put something on the council Facebook page, you can share it on your Facebook page, right? What I would tell you, what's really, really important about the do's and don'ts here is don't go out to Google, search family camping, see this lovely picture of a campsite that looks perfect. It has a campfire, there's trees and a beautiful moon in the background that's perfectly content, and go, that's what I want on my Facebook page. Pull it up, stick it on your Facebook page, and leave it there. Why do we not do that?
Copyright.
You got it exactly. Right up here. Copyright.
And that's not what it really looks like.
It is a copyright infringement. You are exactly right. Exactly right. Use your own stuff. Use your own pieces. Use your own photos. Use your own text. Use things from scouting.org or from the council website. That's awesome. Christy said, I use some from, where you shared something. If I share something to your PAC Facebook page, that's fine. But what we don't want you to do is for me to go to your Facebook page and take a photo off that and share it on my PAC website. Does everybody understand the difference?
Ask permission.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah?
Well, I was gonna say, it's also important to make sure all your parents are okay with your child's photos being on there.
Right. And there are lots of ways to be a little creative with how we take those photos. to make sure that we're not showing identifying features, so you take it from the back. I've got kids that are around a campfire, they're roasting marshmallows. Am I going to stand in front of them and take a picture? Yeah, you can, but maybe we don't want to put that on Facebook. Because there's a lot of families today that don't want images of their children for safety reasons and just because they just don't want it, it's privacy reasons. They just don't want them out there. And that's okay, we have to respect that. But we can come around the back of that group and we can take a picture from the back where you see their backs and you can see that they're roasting marshmallows and you've got the beautiful moon and the camps and everything else back there. That's awesome. We can do that. And we can put that on our Facebook page. We can take a picture of bikes lined up for a bicycle rodeo. We can do that. We can put that on our Facebook page. If you have parents that share it to your Facebook page and say, here you go, that's fine. But again, we don't want you to go out and pull something that it's not yours and that you don't have permission to use. I think more than anything else, these scout-like dinners interactions is the greatest thing on there, right? We just want to be scout-like. We want to be kind. We want to be all those things that we are. Just keep that in mind as we are posting information on our Facebook page. Now, does anybody have a social media chair in their pack? Yes. Social media chair, okay. Somebody that is in charge of putting things on your pack Facebook page. So I talked about a few minutes ago, when we do this geofencing, we're gonna have a URL, and we're gonna send it out to you. Now, if you've got a social media chair, we're gonna send that to that social media chair because their job is to put things on the PAC Facebook page. So we're gonna send it to them, they're gonna put it on your PAC Facebook page. And they're gonna let everybody know, hey, it's there. So I want you to share it. Like, comment, share. We hear that all the time, right? Like, comment, share. Here's what I want you to think about today. I talked about going to the wind down and I came home and there was an ad for an event on my Facebook page, right? They had live music coming up the next Friday. Came home on Tuesday. Well, when I looked at that ad, at that event, I saw my friend Shelly is interested in this. That's kind of cool. So I called Shelly up, go, what's going on? Tell me about this band that's gonna be there. Hey, let's go. Let's go together. Ready? So I go back to my Facebook page and I share that event on my Facebook page. You know where I saw this going? And I share it. And oh, by the way, I have a friend, Teresa, who likes wine and jazz music. So guess what? I tagged Teresa in my event. And I said, hey, Teresa, have you seen this? So Teresa calls me on Wednesday. She goes, yeah, I saw it. Let's go. Right? And then on Thursday, my friend Vanessa, who also likes wine and jazz music, calls me and says, I saw this event on your Facebook page. Are you going? Yeah, I'm going. Why don't you come along? And then Teresa goes in and she shares it on her Facebook page. And Vanessa goes in and she shares it on her Facebook page. And guess what? Shelly goes in and shares it on her Facebook page. And each of them bring a friend. Now, when I started out, it was Shelly who was interested in going. Now, how many people are going? Because I lost track. Anybody do it now? More than one. 7. 7 up here, Christy. Very good. Very, very good. See what happens when we use the power of geofencing and we use the power of Facebook? It explodes. So now your message got out to 7 people instead of just the 1. Everybody follows? I call that the wind down effect. Okay. So we've been talking about this, we've been talking about this form. I've mentioned it several times. If you guys want to take that out and take a look at it, real quick, I'm just going to go down through that. At the very top, it talks about your pack number. Gee, I hope you guys know that. Pack number. And then it talks about site of event location. So this is what we were talking about a while ago, where mostly we want it to be at a school if we at all possibly can. And we need that address, a physical address for that school. That's where your event is actually going to occur. So if you're like Jennifer and you recruit from 2 different schools, and I'm going to have it in a park in the middle, what am I going to put in that top site of the event location?
The park address.
Yes, the park name and address, exactly. Event date, we've all signed, we know that we're assigned an event date, so you should be able to look at that spreadsheet and see what your event date is. Start and end time, I recommend those are an hour. If you're gonna go somewhere other than the school, you might want to start at 5:30, that's an okay thing, but if you're gonna be at a school, you want to be 6:30 or 7:30, right? Yes, ma'am.
So we were discussing with our pack of starting actually having a longer span, but starting it right at school pickup time because parents are already there picking up their kids. So we were going to extend it a little longer to catch that and to catch people on their way home from work. So we're actually talking about like 3 hours.
Is
And
that
we're
make
just
sure that you have,
dividing longer staffing. Yeah.
as long as you have leadership to cover, that's a great idea, it's an awesome idea. So what she's saying is I'm having it at that school, but I'm having it from like 3:15 or 3 o'clock until 5:30. And that's okay too. That's, the beauty of this year is you can customize that particular piece of your sign-up event. If that is what you think is gonna work best for your pack, that's awesome. Let's use that. So let's make sure we get the start and end time on there. Unit contact to display on flyers and event and the Facebook event. So who do you want them to call? Who do you want them to email? When they have a question, or and somebody will, when they have a question about your pack or your event. It might be you, might be. If you travel a lot, you might want to delegate somebody else. If you've never checked your voicemail, because we all know we let everything go to voicemail if we don't recognize it, right? If you're one of those people that doesn't ever check your voicemail, you might want to designate somebody else. Okay? Who else would you maybe designate as the contact person for your flyers and Facebook event? Chair. Oh yes, there's a handout out there about a new member chair. Who else?
Social media chair.
That's a possibility, yeah. Who else? You guys are cut masters, committee chair. You have a den leader that's really awesome. Yeah. Any of those people would be acceptable.
Somebody would follow them.
Somebody that's actually going to call them back, you're going to talk to them, be excited about it, be able to explain your pack, and be able to explain scouting. That's the key right there. And here's the thing, do you maybe have an adult that you've been trying to move into a leadership position that you would like to ask them to maybe be that person for 2 to 3 weeks? All you have to do is take phone calls, that's it. This is easy, right? It's pretty easy. That might be a way to have somebody and get them involved in your pack leadership, right? Okay, so below that it talks about additional school or target audience locations. So this is what we were talking about. I have 2 schools. I have, I'm having my event at a location that is not my school, so I've got 2 schools in addition to that. This is the area for you to indicate where else you want that geofence to encompass. Does that make sense? Again, have to have physical location, must have street address. I know I've said that a lot, but it's really important. Really, really important. Okay? Everybody gets that?
You have a question here?
Yes.
Can I follow up? So we have 2 schools and we have an event in each school right now. That's what we do. Just representatives from each school go there. Can you do that? You have 2 events?
If you're gonna do
Yes,
that, what I would really ask you to do, so we
Do
know
2
you're
of
having a
these.
separate event, do 2 forms.
2 forms.
2 forms.
Right.
Yes. Exactly. And is there, something that we can talk about later is there a reason why we're going to go ahead and cover both schools for, we're not talking about it now, but maybe we want to, maybe we need to, and that's okay. But if you might also want to condense it and have one event, and this year we give you that option. So just keep that in mind. At the bottom of the page it says who should receive the URL link for your event. So back to the whole process. We're going to data enter the information into a spreadsheet. We're going to set it up to a national organization. They're going to create an event and a URL for your event. They're going to send it back to us. We're going to send it to you. Who are we sending it to? Your social media coordinator, social media chairman, have master, whoever that person is. Whoever that person is going to put it on your Facebook page, your PAC's Facebook page, their own page. They're going to share it. They're going to spread the word that, hey, the event is live and it's on our page, and I'm going to spread it out to all my other parents so that they can put it on their page. Whoever that person is, that's who needs to be here at the bottom. And then lastly, where and when does your pack meet? We always ask you guys to update this every year, just to be sure that we have current information. If someone were to contact our scout office, they would be able to give out correct information about your pack, so make sure you just drop that in. If it's the third Thursday of the month, you can just write that in there, no problem. So everybody understands the form? Okay, pause and take a break here. Anybody have any questions on what we've covered so far, and it's a lot? Yes, sir.
If you don't have a pack Facebook page,
Yes.
you still get the benefit of the geofencing.
Yes.
You still get sent.
Yes, sir. The event and the geofencing is not relied upon you having a Facebook page or your pack having a Facebook page. You have a Facebook page. Doesn't matter. If there's no Facebook page involved in it at all, there's still going to be an event and there's still going to be geofencing. It's going to go live no matter what. The difference and the benefit to you using your pack Facebook page or your personal Facebook page is, again, the wind down effect where it trickles on out. So that's going to be the difference. Does that make sense?
And I might ask at least one person in your pack to have or create a Facebook page if no one does, so they can monitor and follow that event and answer any pack-specific questions that pop up in it.
Might not be a bad idea.
So,
I don't want to force anybody to do it, but if
I'm
you
gonna
want
guess that
to.
there's someone in your unit who has a Facebook.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess the question is, though this event goes out to the person who's caught in the geofence, and it says the time, place, location.
And contact information.
Contact, okay. So it doesn't necessarily have a link to, if you did have a Facebook page.
It does not have
Does not.
your
Okay.
Facebook page. The only way we connect to your Facebook page is if you put that URL and shared it.
That's the only way it goes on your specific Facebook page. Does that make sense? Okay, better now? I think once you have it in your hand and once we can see it, it's hard when you just look at it like here. When you actually see it in live and action, I think it's a little easier, but we don't have one live yet, so I'm sure we'll let everybody know when we've got one ready to go, right? Okay. Any other questions? Becca?
Well, and turning on notifications for that post, even if you don't have one, even if you're not going to have your own Facebook page to share it to, on Facebook, on any post, you can click on the top right corner of it, well, at least you can in the iOS and the Apple app, and say, turn on notifications, and then you can get notified. I just don't know if it's in the same spot I'm saying.
Yeah, there's three.
Yeah,
There's
there's
three
top
dots
right.
on the top. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Okay. And you can say, turn on notifications, then anytime somebody comments on that post, you'll be notified, and then you can respond to it as your own individual if you want to.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't know if anybody knows, Becca Scott is our marketing chairman for Native Trails District, and she has been a huge help over the last couple of years in working on our social marketing campaign last year and in working with this year. I am not a social media guru. I have a Facebook page, I have an Instagram account. I understand what we're talking about when we're talking about doing this, but I've never actually done it. Becca's done this. So if we have questions, and her contact information is actually on the council website. If you have questions about some of this, the how, the nitty gritty, how do I do this? Definitely give her a call, shoot her an email, and she is happy to walk you through any of that. She really is. Any other questions? All right. Well, we talked about what National is doing to market our events. Let's talk about what we're doing as a council. As council, we're still going to do school talks. Awesome. Schools that we can get into, we're going to do them. Again, we've gone to the three-night process, so your school talks should be the week of your sign-up night, right? This is great. Flyers. We always have flyers. They should have had a copy of that out there. They are actually custom to your event this year. So, this is the flyer. Escape the great indoors. That's a very cool slogan, right? Everybody like that? I liked it. I thought it was awesome. There's area up here on the top where we can put your contact information that you filled in on the form that you filled out, right? Who that contact information is going to be. There's also a surfers passing around the little trifold flyer. We'll be using those where we can. Paper flyers sometimes are not welcome at schools, and we know that. But where could you use flyers other than us handing them out at the school? Open house. Yes! Open house, back to school, meet flyers for my open house on whatever night that is, we'll make sure we get those for you. Again, we're customizing these in-house this year, so there's lots of space on there to put lots of information. All right, we are once again doing the stickers. I'm sure your kids have seen those. They go in, they do school talk, they put a sticker on them. Hopefully those go home. That's the plan anyway. More likely to go home than a flyer, because let me just tell you, I had a boy at the end of the school year. I cleaned out his locker. There was, 6 inches of paper, maybe more than that. He doesn't go get the locker anymore because there's some paper in it. In the bottom of the locker, that's what happens, right? Kids that age, maybe it's home, maybe it doesn't. Sticker on their clothes, that's what they do when they go to school talks. That gets home. And the kids excited because guess what? They went to school talks and they talked about exploding things. That's what our fall fun day this year is about, is exploding things. And rockets and BBs and archery. And so Jennifer and Abby have gone into school and they've gotten those kids really excited about exploding things. And they come home with a sticker and they go, oh, look, I can go explode things. Right? It happens, and I know it happens. So those are key. We will be using those again this year.
Those stickers are dated, so that's one of the reasons we have to keep you guys within your night. Because we're going to use those if we have a certain amount of stickers with each day.
Right. So that's on the sample. And posters and yard signs. Those should be available at our roundtable on August 1st. That's the plan right now. Posters are great. Do you guys put posters up? Does anybody here put posters up? Do you use them? Don't use them? Does anybody use posters? Yeah? Where do you put a poster? In the back.
On the recruitment night? I'm sorry. I heard half what you said on that one. On recruitment night?
Not on recruitment night, as part of your marketing pre-night campaign. Where do you put that poster? You don't use them that way? No.
Yes, we do.
I was gonna say, the location where you guys meet is a good place to put the posters.
Okay.
If the schools that you're pulling from will allow you to, the doorway of there. Another one can also be just simply handing some of the posters out, like letting people put them on their car when they're at baseball or anything fun like that.
Someplace where parents are going to see it before your sign-up night. So if you put it over the drinking fountain between the restrooms in school, that's awesome. Those kids are all going to see that. The parents probably are. If I put it by the door where I have to come and go to drop my kid off on the first day of school and I've got it in there well ahead of time, so when I go drop off school supplies 2 days before school starts, it's right beside the door where I see it when I walk in that door, that's a pretty effective place. We want to be real thoughtful and real strategic about where we put those posters so that they're effective, so that they're the most effective. If you've got a library where everybody comes and goes, that's a great place. If you've got a grocery store, a local grocery store, everybody comes and goes out of the grocery store and they'll let you put a poster up, that's awesome. Those are great. But just really think about where you're putting that poster. Let's put it someplace that's going to be seen. They cost money. We want to use those effectively, right?
But also make sure you ask the establishment before you do that.
So we also have yard signs this year. Yard signs are a little more limited this year. They are one per school, pretty much. We may have a couple extras, but mostly they're going to be one per school. And again, we want to be real strategic and real thoughtful about where we put them. As Fred said, we want to make sure we ask the school, hey, can I put this out? Right? It's a great idea. But we want to put it somewhere where people are actually going to see it and read it. There's a copy of the signage you guys picked up out there. There's a space on there for where you can write, contact, whatever, your call for more information, an email address. There's a little bit of limited space on the signs to put some information on there. You can put the date on there, that would be great. But here's the thing. When I'm driving around town in Newburgh, because I never leave Newburgh, when I'm driving around Newburgh and I see 5 of the signs, that's great. I can usually get Cub Scouts out of it, but that's about it. If I'm mom and I'm dropping my child off at school, and I'm sitting there waiting forever for everybody in front of me to drop their kid off, I have time to read a sign. I have time to read on there a phone number. an email address, a date, something more, right? We're all awake, and enough coffee and donuts that we're awake. Okay. So really think hard about where we're putting those signs, and a lot of them I think we're going to try to help you guys decide where we're going to put them, but they will be available August 1st at the round table. Everybody
Please
knows what
don't
that is?
hold them until your recruitment night.
Yeah, that's not going to help us. They need to be out there well before the first day of school. A week before the first day of school will be awesome. Posters and signs, that's when they're most effective, is when parents are coming and going. Yes? Okay. The other thing that we are doing this year as a council, Becca's really helping us out to put together that digital advertising. So I don't know about last year, if you guys saw last year some of the boosted posts that we had on Instagram, we had it on Facebook, where we had some information about Cub Scouts, we had some people talking about Cub Scouts, talking about why I chose Cub Scouts. It was really kind of cool. So we are putting that together again for this year. Those will start going live in August. And again, that's something else on your Facebook page that you can share on your Facebook page. It's okay. That's content it's okay to take and share. That's coming from the council Facebook page. You can share that on your Facebook page. Okay? So, talk about national organization, what they're doing to help us out. Talk about the council, what we're doing. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing right now to get ready for your sign-up night? And this again was the interactive portion of the day, so Chrissy always has something. Go for it.
Spreading the word. Send your scouts out. Have activities with your pack. Like today, our pack's having a family fun day, bringing the families in with the youth so that we can invite them to invite other people to come check you out.
That's great.
Bring a friend. Come eat a burger. Watch a movie.
So it's really close to school start. Well, it's not really close. This is getting pretty close. So a back to school event for your pack, back to school, back to scouting. Awesome. Up here in the green shirt, I'm sorry you told me your name, but I'm awful. I forgot the right. She stole your answer.
We don't
That
recreate
happens.
the wheel, right?
Huh?
We don't recreate the wheel.
That's exactly right. Do not recreate the wheel. That's why we're here talking about it, right? What else?
Our scouts presented the colors at the Otters game, and she works for Deaconess, so we invited families to join us, families that we wanted to introduce to scouts. So that was our outreach.
Great. So you guys are doing outreach events now. That is awesome. That's really good.
We also work on our calendar.
Oh, wait a minute. What did you say? Say it again. Say it really loud.
We worked on our calendar for the year.
Yes!
Actually,
How many of you guys have a calendar for the year? Woohoo! I will tell you that the number one thing you can do right now is put together a calendar for the coming year. You are exactly right. That girl gets 2 gold stars.
Hey, do they have one of these?
That helps.
This helps me in that calendar.
Make sure you have your calendar for the year ready when you go to your sign-up night. What else? What else does anybody else do? Yes, sir.
We've got a splash park kind of fun day planned for the
Yes.
scouts, and it's a kind of a bring
Great.
event. It's the first week in August, probably for school starts.
See, the couple days before school starts, I love that. I always tell the story. Some of you have heard this before, but maybe people here, so I can tell again. I took my kid to Disney World in Florida right at the end of first grade. We really had a rough year, so that was kind of our hope we survived trip, right? We spent the week in Disney. We did everything. Everything you could possibly do in Disney, we did it. He had a blast. Do you know, when we went to school in the fall, and the teacher said, let's do the summer, write a paragraph about it. Do you know what he talked about? Going fishing with the pack the week before. I took the kid to Disney. Are you kidding me? They have short-term memory. They have short-term memory. We know they do. So have something kind of fun. You laugh, but it's the truth. Have something kind of fun. The splash park, Otters Day, fun day, whatever it is. Have something interesting. Have something fun. Those few weeks right before school starts, I promise you that will go a long way towards people going, oh, look, they did a cool thing, right? What else? Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
So this is being provided, we talked about that a little bit ago, but on the back, we have a pack info sheet. And so I made it, it's really simple and, PowerPoint or Publisher, you don't have to have fancy software to do it. You just arrange a few pictures that are fairly recent of your pack, put some contact information on there, list where you meet, grades K through 5, boys and girls, and then we put a few benefits of scouting as a little bullet point at the bottom, but I'm going to run it on the back of this so that you have a two-sided piece that's really versatile. And if you have to hand somebody something as a takeaway, handing them this two-sided, they have everything that they need to make their decision.
Yeah, so because we were custom printing those flyers this year, we have the capability of printing on the back. Isn't that great? And they are custom for your pack. We have the capability of putting something interesting on the back.
We're doing a recycle regatta over at Warrick, so we're going to Friday night too. So we're going to do a recycle regatta, we're going to have burgers and hot dogs and water balloon fights and stuff like that.
Very cool, very cool. You guys are on it. Yes, Chrissy?
So a lot of you guys are here for Native Girls Day Camp. Use your photos from day camp. This place was booming with excitement. Kids were running around here so excited. Show those pictures.
Yeah.
Get out a laptop, put them on there, let a slideshow play. How many people have seen the Blackhawk? That's going to excite these kids. The Geos. It's going to excite them and want to come check things out.
Yeah.
And you can find almost all of those pictures that I took on Facebook, on the Buffalo Trace Council Facebook. I think I posted over 150
Yeah.
to 200 pictures.
And you only took pictures that would be able to be posted on Facebook. So that's the only thing that's on there. So again, we talked about, Jennifer just said, you can go to the council website, and we talked about, you go to the council website, take those pictures, stick them on your Facebook page. Really good advertisement for the fun stuff that we do in scouting, right?
And by going to scoutingwire.org, you can find a lot of scouting stock photos.
Yeah, scouting.org, under the brand, I always find under the brand stuff on there. Yeah, exactly, stock photos on there. Make sure, right now, we talked about this before, please, 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 confirm your sign-up location. We gotta have that confirmed. And that needs to be done now. Share that information with your leaders. You're gonna need help sign-up night. I believe you will need lots of help on sign-up night. So let's make sure we're getting that information to them as soon as possible so they can put it on their calendar and they can block that time out and they're available to help you out. We talked about the calendar. Hey, if you have a calendar, what else you can do? You can create a budget. You've got a budget, what do you have? Popcorn bowl. We all know popcorn's coming up. Now we have a budget, we have a popcorn bowl, all because we created a calendar way back in June, July, August, right? Contact information, they talked about contact information. How do you guys know when your open house, meet the teacher night is? Yeah? It's a good time now to go ahead and make a contact and go, hey, can we have a table? Hey, can I hand out flyers? Get that on your leader calendar so that you have manpower at those events. We talked about updating your social media page. Lion Cubs, we need a lion coordinator. Probably should take care of that now because we want Lion Cubs next year, right? So we need to have a lion coordinator for that. And now's a good time to do that. You know who your season leaders are, young leaders. You know who the ones are that you can trust to do that. You've talked to them through the last year or so, 2 years. You know who would make a good line coordinator. Now's a good time to go ahead and ask them. The Be a Scout pin, that again goes back to making sure we've got all that information updated, your social media updated. And the last one here talks about set a goal. One of the things on our Journey to Excellence pages talks about, well, that section is membership measures. So one of them is a formal recruitment, what we're doing now, right? We're having a formal recruitment. One of them talks about retaining members. And one of them talks about adding new members. So take a look at your Journey to Excellence handout. Use that as a guide to set a membership goal. You need your December 31st numbers from last year. Abby or Jennifer can give that to you. You know what your head count is today. Use that as kind of a guide to say, hey, I want to achieve gold. How am I going to achieve gold in the membership area? Well, here's how I'm going to do it. Set a goal. Ask those troops. How many of you guys are affiliated with the troops? You have a pack, 383 and a troop 383. You have a good relationship with a troop. Yep. Ask that troop, give them a call now, give those troop leaders a call now, and just say, hey, we need some help. This is our night, this is what time, this is where we're gonna be. We need adults, we need boys, we need girls. What can they do? What can those troops do during your sign-up night?
Entertain the youth.
Oh, heck yeah. Yay! What else? You know what? Anybody can stand at the door. Okay, not anybody. I can stand at the door and hold the door open and get people to sign in. Could a troop leader do that for you? Could a Boy Scout from the troop or a girl from a girls troop do that for you? What about if they have to kind of go around the bend, around the corner and back in this hallway to get to where your sign-up night is? Because that happens in schools sometimes. Can you have Boy Scouts standing there, holding the door, pointing people in the right direction? Right? I know we're almost done, I promise. Lots of things they can do for us. It also helps them out, because guess what? One day they're going to want your scouts, your Cub Scouts, in their troop. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you had introduced them to that troop from day one, the very beginning? If you have a troop that's a little reluctant to help you out, let me know. I will talk them into it, I promise. Okay? All right. Now we're up to a week. Okay, a week before your sign up. Remember, we need to call the school, we need to call that location and just reconfirm it. Hey, make sure you've got us on your calendar for this week. I can't tell you how many times I've shown up at a sign-up night and the school forgot, the custodian forgot. It happens. The custodian forgot, all doors locked. The custodian's there, they just forgot, or it didn't get on their calendar. So if we contact them a week before, it gets on their calendar. That gets, gets it fresh in their mind. Oh, don't forget, our Cub Scouts are coming on Thursday night, right?
Print out that confirmation from the principal or whoever, yep, we got you down. That way, if you do get there and the door's locked, you show the custodian, look, I have proof that I was supposed to be here.
Make sure we've got our council packets. Those should be available at Roundtable August 1st. For some reason they're not, or you don't go to that event, we want to make sure we're picking those up about a week in advance, or we're having them delivered. Jennifer or Abby are delivering them to her, or somebody else is picking it up for you. We want to make sure we pick up those packets. And that's what has everything that you need to run your night in there. There's a list of what's going to be in that packet. That was a handout out front. Some normal stuff, youth applications, parent guides, Boys Life magazines, the sign-in. Make sure you have everybody sign in. Why do we make sure we have everybody sign in? So we can follow up with the ones that don't actually sign up, right? There will be somebody that walks away without signing up. It happens. It happens every time. 90% of everybody that shows up will sign up. However, somebody will walk away without signing up. You had somebody standing at the door, taught everybody as they walked in, you made them sign the sign-in sheet, got their contact information, you have the ability to contact them afterwards. So I want to make sure we're getting that. Registration assistance forms will be in there. We don't ever want to let money be a barrier to a family participating in this program. And a marketing survey. And marketing surveys are kind of important this year. We've talked about a whole lot about national organizations doing a lot for us. There's a big campaign that we haven't had before. So, but we've also talked about, hey, we cut back on yard signs. Hey, we're doing some things differently this year. In order for us to measure how effective that is, we need those marketing surveys filled out. And maybe it's effective for your school, but not for your school. That happens. We don't know that if we don't have feedback. So part of our feedback is how many new scouts do you sign up? But part of our feedback is that marketing survey. So if you can get everybody to fill out that marketing survey and turn it back in, that's going to be awesome. That's really going to help us plan for next year's event and adjust it and adapt it to what is actually effective. Make sense? And lastly, get change for fees. That seems pretty obvious, but I've certainly shown up at a lot of sign-up events and everybody looked at each other and went, we're going to have you change. Now what are we going to do? So take a few minutes, get change for fees about a week beforehand, make sure somebody is taking care of that, whether it's your treasurer, it's you, make sure that's happening. And you have a question?
Square card.
Square card is awesome. You can use it, that's great. That's
We
great.
may do that a week ahead of time, make sure that you can still log into your account, make sure the fees are the same, and update it. That way a week ahead of time, your square card's ready to go, and I just swipe
guys have them and you're using them, that's awesome. That is perfect. And like you said, make sure you're getting ready for that a week ahead of time. Very good. Hang on. Okay. So now we're up to the night. Man, oh man. We have worked hard. We promoted this event. We've got a whole lot of social media going on. Every day, there's a ton of people that are going to sign up tonight, and we want to make sure that we show up early. So about 30 minutes ahead of time, so that you have time to set up. There's going to be a lot of setup. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Make sure that night that your headmaster or their delegate signs every youth application form. It happens every year. So we get a whole pack of them that don't have signatures. So make sure that's happening. You're going to deliver everything to your collection point, and there is a list of collection points that was out front, so you'll be able to figure out where your collection point is. It'll also be on your packet, so you don't have to worry about remembering that. It will be on your packet. Here's where you need to turn it. And don't forget that night to promote Cub Scout Field Day again. They're going to talk about it in their Scout Talk, and kids are going to be excited about exploding things and rockets. So we want to make sure we talk to mom and dad about that, parents, guardians, when they come to sign up their kids. Hey, this is the next event. It's on your calendar. That's awesome. It should be a flyer in your packet. It should have some information on that for that night. Make sure you're passing that out. All right. So, lots of stations. Everybody is doing the station method. Nobody's going back to the old way of bring everybody in, stand up and talk to them, and, right? We're all in the stations. Like we do sports sign up, right? I'm asleep, I don't know, yeah. There's lots of different ways you can do that, I understand. We want to make sure you have a welcome station where they are signing in. That's critical. Display area is really kind of cool. We talked about having a lot of pictures. There should be a way where you can put that out there so you can see, here's what we do. Mom and dad can see that. Here's what we do as scouts. That's awesome. Question and answer table for families with questions and forms help. Now, I would tell you that if I'm a little bit smaller pack, I might combine those. It can happen. But here's the other piece. We talked about having troops help us out. They can help out with that signing table. And I can tell anybody how to fill out those forms, but I don't know anything about your pack. I know very little. So if I have a couple of extra troop leaders, and I want to send them off to the side and let them help parents fill out forms, while I've got a couple of den leaders and myself that want to talk about our pack, you might need 2 stations. That's awesome, because that's how that can work. Again, how much help do you need? You probably need a few people at that Q&A and forms help. And then check out, that's where we're going to collect our applications, that's where we're going to collect that marketing survey, we're going to collect fees. And we have coupons and toys. And Jennifer has a toy and I'll let her demonstrate.
So all of our scouts that sign up and pay the night of our sign up, you will have a packet of these with you at your sign up night. And they will be able to take that. I wouldn't give it to them until they're leaving the room. So yeah. And yes, there will be on the ceiling and on the roof. And on the roof. Yeah, so keep that in mind. All right. Any questions so far? Everybody's sort of zoned out. I need another cup of coffee and we're done on the way out the door, right? Yes, ma'am.
I don't really have a question. I'll back to the other end.
Okay.
One of the things that we put in our pack for recruitment night is actually a photo and press release that the parents sign. That way you don't have an issue when it comes to someone's child's face is shown and you have it right there. They can also put on there if there are foster kids in the family that are coming and who can't be seen and who can be seen, if they just want it on social media, if they don't want it. Like last year we had posted one of our canned food drives. I had put in the paper in the faces and places. I didn't have to go through and okay it with all of the families in it because I had that sign.
That's awesome.
We do it every year in case anything in the household changes.
That's great. And you might want to do that at your first meeting. So at that parent, usually there's a parent orientation meeting, we have sign-up night, and then we have parent orientation about a week later. So sometimes we want to hold that type of stuff until our parent orientation meeting when parents are actually sitting down thinking about, what did I just do? We want to keep that night to pretty clean, pretty streamlined. We want to keep that as quick and painless as possible. You want to be coming in, think like sports. When you go sign your kid up for baseball, you go in, you fill out a form, you sign a check, and you go out the door, right? Somebody calls you a few days later and says, oh, by the way, here's when your team is practicing. So we want to keep it in that same line. That's what parents are used to. And that's what they want. They want to be in there, out of there, and done. They don't want to sit there for a long time. Like 20 minutes in and out is awesome. So if you can, turn them in and out a little bit faster, that's great. You want to give them the information they need. You want to give them the opportunity to ask questions. When I signed my son up for football the first time, I had a lot of questions. I asked them. But the second time I went in and signed the forms and wrote a check and went out the door. And when I went to sign up for baseball, I signed a check and filled out a form and went out the door. Right? So we want to keep it as streamlined as we possibly can. We want to give them the opportunity to ask questions. The big thing is we don't want to overwhelm them. I've been to, again, in the few years when I've done this, I've been to sign-up nights where I had Cub Masters or a den leader stand up there and talk to the parents about it's so much work and it takes so much time and it costs so much money. Well, I'm done, I'm out the door. They're there because they want to sign up. Don't talk them out of it. Don't talk them out of it. Be very positive, and again, make sure you get your contact information. All right, so now our sign-up night is over. What do we do next? What do you guys do next?
I'm that glass of wine.
You better believe it, we're going to the wine now. That's where my turn-in night is. That's where my turn-in location is. I'm just kidding. Anybody have any ideas on what we're going to do after that? Thoughts? What do you do after you finish your sign-up night?
We make sure everything's all filled out properly.
Yes.
We get it to our collection. We send one person to the collection site.
Right.
We also do a after-action review to see what we can do better, what we did well, what we can do better.
That's great. That's awesome. So you kind of sit down and talk about what went well, what went less than well, and how to fix it for next time. That's great. So you sit down with your leadership team. Good. Anything else? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Follow-up communication of thanking them for signing up, telling them to go to the scout shop, they'll help you get your uniform. Here's our next meeting, can't wait to see you.
Again, I go back to the sports analogy. When you sign up for a team, sports team, they call you in a couple days and they go, hey, you're on this team, and this is when our practice is. And I've got a calendar, I know, but that phone call makes a big difference. It makes me feel like I'm wanted, it makes me feel like my kids are part of a great team, like that coach really wants them. So what if we apply that here? What if our den leaders, and sometimes it's the Cub Master or a new scout membership coordinator, new scout coordinator type person, called them up in a couple days and said, you signed up the other night, that's great, but don't forget about a new member meeting, a new parent meeting on Thursday. Okay, so that you signed up but you didn't pay the fee. You can bring that on whatever day it is. I saw that you signed up, don't forget about that. Oh, by the way, we have a den meeting coming up. Right? Makes them feel like they are important, that they're wanted, that they're part of a big team that actually wants them on the team. Yes? Make sure we're having that parent orientation and or first den meetings within a week. It's really, really important. Really important. Everybody has it on the calendar? Anybody not have it on the calendar? Nobody's got it on that, right? Okay, what else do we have to do after Sunday night? I hope you got a bunch of new scouts. What are you going to do? We need a new den leader. Yes, absolutely. We need a new den and leader. So we have to recruit new leaders. Sometimes you have parents that have left and crossed over and you have to fill in some spots. Hopefully you're pulling that from existing families. But it's pretty likely. I really hope everybody has new dens this year. That's what I'm really hoping for. I really believe it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. You're going to need a new tiger den this year. There's a lion den that they went through the whole year and now they've got a leader and they're ready to go. But you've got another tiger den. Make that leader for them. As Cub Master, it is one of your responsibilities to sort of take on that first meeting or two. And sometimes you delegate that, it happens, to somebody that's a little more experienced as a den leader, that's okay. We just want to make sure that somebody that's a little more experienced than a brand new parent is running those first couple of den meetings. That does a lot of things. It gets that den organized and up and running effectively. But it also gives you time to observe parents and actually make a good selection for that den leader instead of just going, well, they volunteered. So we'll just take them. So it talks about here, on here it talks about observe the parents. The PAC survey, PAC parent survey, I know there was one of those out there. There's also one on the scouting website. It goes through and says, here's some information that about me. Here's where I work. This is what my hobbies are. This is what I'm interested in. I'm an Eagle Scout. Those kind of things. So using those at that parent orientation or sign up night, either one is fine. Probably more at the parent orientation, just because we kind of don't want to freak them out at sign up night, right? And then you can identify the best choice. Now, what makes the best choice of an adult leader, specifically a den leader? And please, somebody else talk. Anybody have any thoughts on what you look for when you look for a den leader? I'm sorry?
Warm body.
Oh, warm body?
Really, it's pulling teeth to get there first, but like, we have a designated guy who's the people leader and my husband's the backup in the event that.
Sure.
Sure. But, somebody that's actually gonna commit.
Somebody that's going to commit. That's great. How do you know they're going to commit? They've been showing up. Yeah, they've been showing up. So when you're looking at a tiger den or a new den and you've got new parents, somebody that's been there consistently for 3 or 4 events, that's probably somebody that's, and is not showing up and sitting in the back on their phone and doing this number, although you might have just found a social media coordinator, but not doing this number, but that is participating with their kids, that's engaged. I have long said that I make a really great committee chair because I enjoy talking to adults, but I really don't like other people's kids. So I'm not a good den leader at all, not at all. I might be a social media coordinator or a treasurer or something like that, but you don't want me as your den leader, I promise.
So you'll have parents who will step up and like talk about things that they're excited about or things that they're wanting to do, and you'll start to see like where their passions are. So making sure you're getting to know the parents, just listen, hearing what they're saying. If they like have an idea for, oh hey, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, maybe asking like, hey, that's a great idea, would you mind setting that up for our next den meeting? And then if they follow through, you might have just found a den leader.
Right.
So.
Somebody that's coaching a team, they coach a soccer team, that might make a really good den leader, right? They already really good with the kids, they work with the kids.
I just had a leader tell me that it's easier to be Cub Master and coach his son's baseball team because he's in charge of all the scheduling. So he can schedule when their pack meetings are and when their practices are going to be. So
That is the truth.
it's a perk for him.
That is the truth. And so when we start talking about, okay, I've identified that perfect leader, I know that I want Adam to be my new den leader. I can tell you this, if I send Adam an email and go, hey Adam, you want to be den leader for your kid? And answer's probably no, real fast. But here's the good one. If I call Adam or I see Adam and I go, hey Adam, I've got something I really think you'll be great for. I need somebody to be a den leader now, before you say yes. I just want you to understand it's time that you spend with your son. You get to set the schedule. You're going to lead the activities for that den. You've got all kinds of training. There's a handbook, lots of resources. And oh, by the way, I will help you in any way I can. Now, is Adam going to say yes? Yeah, probably, most likely. Probably, because I was specific about what I needed him to do. And I either talk to him face to face or on the phone is okay. And it's really hard to say no when somebody calls you on the phone and says, I've got something I think you'd be perfect for. Just ask me, that's how I got here in the first place. Okay? So keep that in mind when we're recruiting leaders. If you need help, let Jennifer, Abby, and myself know. We're happy to help you with that, but just, we want to make sure that we're asking them in person. All right, we are wrapping this up. Parents and youth are looking for well-trained leaders. We know that. We know that. We know that leaders, well-trained leaders, good leadership, and a consistent packed calendar that you actually stick to, those are the two things that are going to make the kids stick around. They're going to make them hang around. It means that they're not going to leave you after 2 months or 3 months or 4 months. That's the key. Those trained leaders and having a plan that you stick to. We consistently hear people talk about, hey, you left the pack, what happened? Well, they didn't have a calendar, they didn't have a plan, and they would just call us the day before and go, hey, let's have a pack meeting. Really? And you think parents today will do that? No, they're not going to do that. And the other thing, when you're talking to parents, especially the night of a parent orientation, I really want you guys to stress that scouting is supplemental and complementary to all the other activities they're doing. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say, my son is already in basketball, football, soccer, and everything else, and he's doing this whole thing at school where we have all this homework, and I just don't have time. I don't have any more time at all. We're involved in our church leadership. I can't put anything else on the calendar. I was that person. I said that. That was the first thing I said when somebody said, yeah, let's join Cub Scouts. I went, no. I just flat up said no. Out and out, no, absolutely not. I am the only parent. I cannot add anything else on my calendar. But remember, this is complementary to. It's not conflicting with. It's complementary to the other activities that you're doing. Oh, by the way, we're doing this as a family. This is a family program. We know that parents today want things they can do with their families. We know that. We know that. So let's tell them, hey guys, this is something you do as a family. It's not something you drop your kids off and they do it. Some of those are. Those are things you do as a family. That's a big selling point for parents today. Parents in that age group, they really want that family activity that they can do with their siblings, both parents. And they are really into changing the world, so that's what we do, right? We are creating tomorrow's leaders. We are creating youth that have leadership skills and that they've worked on their character, worked to develop that character into somebody that might be kind of cool, right? Somebody that we want to follow, that we want to be a leader. We are changing the world by changing the youth, by putting youth in this program, getting them involved in this program. We are changing the world, tomorrow's future. Tomorrow's world is going to look very different because we had so many kids in the program today. Kevin?
Probably a good place to interject another piece of social media you might want to tell your parents and your leaders about.
Okay.
It's called PSA Parents.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, you need to go like it on Facebook. 32 minutes ago, there was a post that says, do you know that over 2/3 of the astronauts have been scouts? How appropriate on the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. I haven't put anything on there, but I'll give you my testimony. My son, 24 years old, Eagle Scout, applied for a job at Evansville Police Department. And one of the things he had to do was write a 3-paragraph essay about what are 3 characteristics that you should see in a police officer. Well, guess what? He had 12 choices, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He had to narrow it down. And on July 8th, he was sworn in with 13 other new officers. So there's my testimony. Scouting does make a difference in kids' lives.
It does. It absolutely does. And Kevin just told your story. This is what I'll share with you, and then we're going to close. There's some takeaways. I want to make sure you guys take a minute to read through those. But in 2003, a friend of mine stopped me at church in the morning. We were picking up our kids from Sunday school. And Kelly Breeder, I don't know if you know her, but she stopped me and she said, you know, Tanya, sign up for Cub Scouts is at your school next week, Tuesday night. You need to make sure you sign AJ up. I'm going to be his den leader. I already know that. I've got to work through the program. My son's going to be in his age group, so I'm going to be his den leader. I'll help you with scheduling. We'll help you with transportation. I know you're the only parent. And again, I said, can't do it. She said, we'll help you with scheduling. We'll help you with transportation. you need to do this. It's going to be the best thing you ever did for your child. The best thing you ever did for your child. That was in 2003. I wear my Eagle Scout mom shirt. It's the proudest thing that's ever happened to me is my son made Eagle Scout several years later. Today he's 23. He graduated from Mississippi State University in May with a degree in wildlife biology. He is currently working in Alabama doing research in a forest down there. And starting in September, he will be working for the International Crane Foundation of Big Birds in Pittsburgh Creek as community outreach and doing research on cranes. He has not just finished his Eagle Scout, but he's continued to come back here. He was at day camp this summer. So if you guys were at day camp this summer, he was at day camp. He helped run the station at day camp. He's come back for a field day. It's that service-oriented piece that Cub Scouts really set on fire for him. And as part of his job going forward, one of the things that they were excited about talking to him was that he had that connection. He's an Eagle Scout. He has that connection with Scouts. He understands how Scouts work. And he can go talk to them about the International Crane Foundation and saving the cranes as a scout to scout. So he has that piece. That's something they were really excited about with him. So it is something they carry with them, as Kevin said, for the rest of their life. And even being in the program for a year is life-changing for a lot of these kids. And
my name is Joe Holtz. I'm a district commissioner, but I've been in scouting since my son was 11. He just turned 40 this year. He's an Eagle Scout, moved away from Evansville, got married, has a family. He has two daughters, 12 and 10. And I figured my son's scouting career was pretty much over as a leader because he's going to follow his kids. And this spring, his daughter came home from school and said, "Dad, I want to be a scout." So my son is involved in the Boy Scout troop as an assistant scoutmaster in Fort Mill, South Carolina. I see his career with his two daughters the way they are. I see him being as involved in scouting in the next few years as I was when I was his age. So, and he started in Cub Scouts, and he shares that. Eagle Scouting, being an Eagle Scout has gotten him in many places that otherwise would have been an opportunity for him. So,
it is.
Yeah.
It is life-changing. I can't stress that enough. It is life-changing for these kids who are doing something awesome for them.
Well, I'll tell my story. My son's, I'm Pat Watson, the Vice President of Membership here for the council. My son's an Eagle Scout. He goes into the Marine Corps, automatically one big grade rank above everybody else because he's an Eagle Scout. I got led when he was in boot camp. He had all the aquatic merit badges. When they put a pack on him and threw him in the water, no big deal to him. Of course, he was also a competitive swimmer and cross-country runner. And he sent me a letter. He said, "Dad, these other guys have no clue what to do in the woods." And he helped them out. And to this day, it's lifelong skills that you never lose. You continue. When you get as old as me, you still use some of them that you learned as Scout. Yeah.
Anything I missed, Jennifer?
I think you did a very good job covering everything.
Anybody have, yes, Abby?
Becca pointed out, just so everybody knows, the trifold flyer that you have is a sample. It's not the final draft.
Yeah, that's not the final. I was printing before we got the final one. Sorry.
Yeah, every day samples.
But I think all these stories say one big thing, and that's thank you for all you're doing, because all the time and all the energy and all the passion that you're putting into this program is making a difference.
Well, that is all I had for today. I'm sorry, there was a whole lot of information. There was a lot to cover today. Again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for sitting through this. And if you have questions, I'm happy to stick around and answer anything that we can come up with.